destructor is nothing but for an object which has completed its work in the program, you are releasing the memory that is allotted to it. That is you are destroying the space, you are destroying that object, destroying that value, and you are releasing the memory space that was allocated to it. So, it is complementary to a constructor. When there is a constructor, there should be a destructor, because constructor allocates memory. So, you have to free that memory at some time. This is invoked when any instance of the class ceases to exist. Constructor is invoked whenever you create an instance for a class. Destructor is invoked when a class instance stops existing. Destructor functions de-initialize the objects when they are destroyed. A programmer is relieved of the task of freeing the memory space that is allocated to a variable. So, from this itself you can identify that this is something like the free function in C. So, constructor allocates memory, destructor releases the memory. Constructor allocates when an object is created, destructor deallocates when the object is destroyed. So, they both are complementary to each other. Now, what are the characteristics of these destructors? First, a destructor is automatically invoked when an object goes out of scope. When it goes out of view of the program, out of the need of the program, the destructor is invoked. This also has the same name as the class. It is prefixed with a tilde symbol. I have given the symbol sign also. A class can have only one destructor. This is also different from a constructor. This also does not specify any return value, and this also can be called explicitly. Now, there are certain similarities and certain differences between constructor and destructor. Both have the same name as a class. They do not have return values, but one program can have any number of constructors, but there can be only one destructor in a program. And secondly, destructors are prefixed with a tilde symbol. They are called when an object ceases to exist, and this de-initializes the memory allocated to an object. Now, we will see how these destructors are included in the program. You are having a class called CAL. You are opening the body of the class. You are having two private integer data members N1 and N2. You are having the public keyword, and you are having some function. I have just mentioned it using these dots. This is just a skeletal view, and here you are having the destructor declaration. If you see, it is having the same name as the class CAL, followed by opening and closing brackets, prefixed with a tilde symbol. And here N1 is equal to N2 is equal to 0. This is nothing but the body of the destructor. Normally in destructors you do not mention a body. When the compiler sees the tilde symbol itself, it will immediately understand that it is a destructor, and whatever variable is mentioned, all the variables that are present in the class will be deallocated and the memory will be released. This is just an example, that is whatever value was assigned to N1 and N2, that has been destroyed and they are assigned null values, and then you close the body of the class. So, this is how destructors are declared inside a C++ program. Now, in this case, how can you explicitly call the destructor? Inside the main function, here you create the object cal followed by the object name, and you do whatever operation you want to do using the object name. The same way you access any other member function, you have to access the destructor. Normally, you use the object name followed by the dot operator followed by the function name. Here also the same thing, you use the object name OB1 followed by this dot operator followed by the tilde symbol and the destructor name. So, this will automatically call the destructor and destroy the variables in the object memory that was allocated and release the memory for use by other programs. You close the main function. Generally, this explicit invoking of the destructor is normally not used by programmers who program usual kind of applications. It is only used in advanced programming scenarios where one object immediately after its completion of work in one particular scenario has to be used for another scenario. In that case, you deallocate the memory allocated to it and you use it for another place. Generally, when objects go out of scope, the compiler automatically calls the destructor and releases the memory. But when memory is needs to be used highly efficiently, we have to save that memory space. In that case, programmers invoke the destructor explicitly. Generally, this is not used by new programmers as well as programmers who operate normal applications.